Hello and welcome to today's webinar, Streamline Your Multi-Entity Consolidations and Management, where I'll show you how companies cut their close by up to 65%. My name is Jessica Lowe, and I'm a Product Marketing Manager at Sage Intacct. Prior to joining Sage Intacct, I was an accountant at a private equity firm, so I was highly immersed in the close. I enjoy drawing on these experiences in my current role here, and I'm excited to be here with you today. In this webinar, we'll first lay the groundwork and discuss why organizations have multi-entities and the signs that you're outgrowing your current multi-entity management process. I'll then show how a system that was designed to address these needs can simplify its management. And finally, we'll talk about how you can get better real-time visibility of your financials with the flexibility to switch between local and consolidated views. Now, a lot of you probably already have multiple entities, but some of you may still be single entity companies. So let's start by answering the question, why do entities matter? Companies find themselves needing to manage multiple entities earlier in their life cycles than ever. And you probably already know all this, but just as a quick recap and perhaps to make you aware of other use cases, more and more often, small to mid-sized companies start their business in one city and open an offshore office, house customer service somewhere else, and grow to have other offices across the country and globally. And something to consider in addition to organic growth is your company might acquire a business with more of its own separate entities. Managing legal entities can pose significant challenges when companies try to deal with it using the financial system that they've had since they were just a one or two entity company. Finance teams can struggle to perform tasks like consolidation, reporting, and analysis of operational and financial data across the entities. We usually see this triggering at 3 entities, but even if you don't have other entities now, you should still be thinking about this, especially if you have plans to expand overseas or add an entity for legal protection, M&A, or joint partnership plans. Because from what we've seen at Sage Intacct, if you have entities, you'll probably grow 2 to 3 entities per year. And without the right systems and processes in place, that can lead to a lot of challenges down the line for your team and business. So what are those challenges and what makes multi-entity management so challenging? Many systems or systems architected 20, 30 years ago that work for companies when they're smaller or less complex were designed for single entity organizations. If you'd expect it to change along with your organization's growth, it'd require rewriting it, or maybe even possibly it just simply wasn't designed to handle multi-entity. And in the meantime, you'll have to use Excel, multiple instances for each entity, and that leads to a lot of slowdowns in the business. And with that, let's visit the signs that you've outgrown your multi-entity management process. So you might be feeling the effects of having outgrown your system if you need multiple instances of your software to report on and consolidate your entities. You do manual reconciliations in Excel, and you're experiencing chart of accounts drift. And the symptoms of this are consolidations takes days to weeks, board books are often late, inter-entity transactions and eliminations are manual and error-prone. You have difficulty with multi-currency reporting if you're a global company, and losing evenings or weekends has become a usual part of your close. And there are some hidden costs as well, such as setting up new entities takes more than a day and maybe even costly consultants. And each entity that's set up could require a whole reimplementation. And re-implementing the system in a multi-instance environment often leads to chart of accounts drift. So as you get bigger, this pain is really nonlinear. Think of it as 5 entities isn't 5 times as bad, but more like 8 to 10 times because of the coordination costs. And that's because non-native cloud systems developed long ago assumed we live in a single entity world. And this has implications for their architecture and your process and the things you're able to do within the system as your business grows. To illustrate what that means, think of it as driving a car to travel. That works to a certain point, but if you need to travel longer distances overseas and you need to get there faster, bolting on new parts to the same car like we see here probably won't serve you well. You really need a mode of transportation that was engineered as a plane from the beginning to cover distance and speed. You wouldn't want to rely on flying a car that had wings soldered to it as an afterthought. And that's how we view the difference between using Excel or multi-instance software to manage entities versus a cloud-native financial software that's purpose-built for multi-entity companies. Let's take a look at the company Next Step and jump ahead to what they were able to see after moving to Sage Intacct's cloud-native financial system, and all with 8 legal entities, 21 departments, and a lean finance team. Probably similar to you, they're a growing company that faced increasingly complex accounting processes. This is a company where, with their previous on-premise software, users had to log in and out of their entities, do consolidations and reporting in Excel, and hope the numbers balanced correctly. By moving to cloud financial management, NextStep was able to save more than 500 hours of manual data entry work, improve productivity by 25%, scale easily with 23% growth, and gain strategic insight into regional profitability. And that's what those time savings mean: the ability to be more strategic with the information that's always current and at your disposal. So we'll show you how you can consolidate in minutes, even if you have hundreds of entities and they're global. So you can roll up your financials at any time without having to wait on the close. And by doing so, you can see any issues across the business within the period, so you can fix the problem before the period is over. And we often hear from our customers the things that they're able to do with that extra time, like being proactive in their strategic initiatives, coaching and developing their teams, and spending more time with their families. So let's dive into defining the different ways of managing multi-entities and look into why growing companies opt for simplicity in multi-entity management. In a multi-instance environment, each entity has its own instance, meaning multiple logins and data silos. Each entity has its own chart of accounts, which can lead to chart of accounts drift. Each entity has its own database, vendors, customers to administer, and consolidations and eliminations are manual processes. The greater level of inter-entity transactions you have, the more likely you are to have double keying, with each inter-entity transaction recorded twice, once in each entity. On the other hand, a multi-entity shared environment in the cloud saves time because you don't have to log in and out of entities. You have role or user-based access to entities and can seamlessly move between them and view the ones you need. That way you can run reports, transactions, or processes at the consolidated or local level with a single login. You get all the benefits of a shared multi-entity environment, but at the same time, you'll still need flexible local settings. A modern cloud solution lets you have the best of both worlds, and with flexible local settings, you can maintain the entity's base currency, local reporting, and preserve local settings as needed in terms of customers, vendors, banks, workflows, and other items. Another crucial difference between multi-instance and shared environments is in the setup of new entities. In multi-instance environments, each entity could be a whole re-implementation, and any customizations need to be reapplied in setting up each entity. On the other hand, a multi-entity shared environment means that you can set up new entities quickly and easily. With the way Sage Intacct is designed, someone in finance and accounting is able to set up a new entity. You don't need an IT background or a consultant. And there are guided setup options that are tailored for whatever stage your organization is in. And once they're set up, your inter-entity accounts are connected into your consolidation book and drive the consolidation process automatically, and always have visibility into inter-entity relationships. If you're a global organization, you have additional complexities you need to account for, especially when you need to account for multiple currencies across entities. Sage Intacct allows you to manage these complexities with built-in settings that make it easier for you to support your global operations. Flexible multi-currency settings allow you to set base currencies by entity and produce reports or invoices in different currencies. These flexible settings make it easy for you to create consolidated reports for different stakeholders who want to see numbers in their home currency, and also help speed up billing by producing invoices in the local currency of your clients. Because processes like currency conversions and local tax reporting are automated, it means your information is always up to date, and you can trust that the numbers you're seeing are accurate. Sage Intacct also offers ASC 830 compliant multi-currency consolidation accounting, creating cumulative translation adjustments. And solutions like Sage Intacct also offer streamlined global consolidations. Inter-entity transactions are automated at the point of consolidation, even across entities with different base currencies, which saves teams countless hours. Next, get more accurate financial and operational insight across your entities on a continuous basis by automating consolidations and inter-entity eliminations. This crucial automation lets you view your current financials at any time, instead of waiting on the close. You get a current and accurate picture through dynamic dashboards or instantly pulled reports without the data exports to Excel. Here's another real-world story of that in practice. Perfect Dental Management was growing steadily with 17 offices and 5 entities, but they were experiencing growing pains with their current on-prem accounting system. Limitations in multi-entity accounting meant hours of manual work. They had each entity set up with its own software instance, but couldn't have more than 2 instances open at once, and there was no consolidated chart of accounts. That meant manual data entry to record entries at both an entity and consolidated level. It took 15 days to close the books, and the result was Perfect Dental lacked fast and flexible reporting needed for informed decision-making. Moving to Sage Intacct for their next phase of growth allows them to close 65% faster in just 5 days. They cut consolidations about 84%, and what took multiple days now takes part of a morning or an afternoon. And they're getting reports faster and more frequently, so operating off fresher information. And lastly, they can get a new entity set up in just 5 minutes. Allison Burks, the controller at Perfect Dental, said, "We're working smarter, not harder with Sage Intacct. It's really helped us clear up time so we can focus on bigger issues instead of importing a journal entry into 5 different entities." And that really sums up what we're talking about in terms of bringing simplicity to multi-entity management. Let's move on to how those attributes of a cloud-native, purpose-built system can deliver better financial visibility. Dashboards within Sage Intacct provide instant visibility into your most important KPIs. You can set up as many dashboards as you want and create them for processes like consolidations and month-end reporting. And dashboards are often set up to be role-based. For example, showing the metrics that matter most for a CFO, controller, project manager, or any others. Here, we're looking at a CFO dashboard that focuses on revenue, expenses, and margins. If the CFO wants to find out about the details that make up a number, they can drill down into the source transactions by clicking on the performance cards. So knowing where your numbers are coming from is easily within reach from the dashboard. These dashboards also let you easily filter and organize the data by entity or entity group within the dropdown there on the right. So let's do that and jump into a local view of one of the US entities. All right, here we are with a local entity view. You can see how groups of entities or local entities are doing a benchmark against each other by filtering dashboards or reports in just a few clicks. And then you can make decisions based on insights from your dashboard that can have a profound impact on your business. Many Sage Intacct customers have used flexible entity views to benchmark entities against each other in order to determine most profitable product or service lines. Applying these learnings to other entities have led to impressive results. We've seen a company double an entity's net revenue, and in another case, pull entities out of the red. So now let's move from dashboards onto financial reporting. Here's a view of a consolidated balance sheet. Powerful multi-entity reporting allows you to capture financial results at the consolidated level. And what that means is finance, accounting, and business teams can quickly run the reports at a bird's eye view. So you can create as many consolidated views as you want, maintain compliance by creating as many GAAP, IFRS, and tax books, and use multi-book capabilities to cover specific processes like allocations and management books. And automation is key here. Automatically produced consolidation journals make the traceability of eliminations easy for troubleshooting, reconciliations, and audit. Automation provides consistency and accuracy for compliance. It makes it easy to see the elimination with a source transaction, and it provides easy audit traceability and reporting transparency to understand your consolidated numbers at a glance. Now let's go back to our example with NextStep. The controller, Rhonda, created personalized Sage Intacct dashboards for NextStep's managers and sales teams that show relevant information like the current worksite employee count, department P&Ls with actuals versus forecast, and profitability of key service lines. And additionally, the leadership team has a monthly financial highlights dashboard that shows the working forecast, balance sheet summary, and quarterly P&Ls. The organization is able to make strategic business decisions and forecasting by tracking metrics that are important to them, like gross profit per worksite employee and ratio of worksite employees to internal corporate employees, which are all kept in calculated fields right within Sage Intacct. This insight is critical for them, and they use it to determine how productive a particular region is from one month to the next, and make decisions about whether the business should stay in that region and forecast where they want to be. Here's a quote from Rhonda. "I'm very proud of the decision we made to adopt Sage Intacct. Now we have unprecedented business visibility at our fingertips." And I think that sums up nicely how Next Step was able to keep a clear picture of the health of the business to keep stakeholders informed. So to recap what we've discussed today, we've seen how a cloud financial solution purpose-built for multiple entities changes the way you work. Against many competitors, Sage Intacct has easier entity setup and easier elimination traceability, both of which can add to countless time saved. We also touched on how if your consolidations are taking a long time, you can't see intra-period issues in time, and you can't keep up the momentum using the same tools that were designed with single entity organizations in mind. And very importantly, cloud enables automated consolidations and eliminations, getting a current, accurate picture of financials in the hands of those who need it when they need it. And we saw how multi-entity shared systems remove the pains of dealing with re-implementing new entities or setting up separate charts of accounts, vendor lists, or customers. Instead, having everything synced for an accurate, single consolidated view, while also allowing for flexible local settings if some or all of your entities have their own vendor lists or customers. To tie it back to real results, we've seen how two multi-entity companies use cloud financial management to boost their efficiency even as they grew in accounting complexity and got the information needed to support strategic business decisions. Next Step accelerated their finance team's productivity by 25%. Perfect Dental cut their consolidations from 3 days to 4 hours and can set up new entities in as little as 5 minutes and cut their close by 65%. Perfect Dental was able to use the robust reporting and dashboards of Sage Intacct to inform business decisions. Insights into profitability and metrics such as labor, marketing, and equipment as a percentage of revenue have helped guide decisions, including selling off underperforming locations and acquiring new ones. Next Step used reports to drill down to the regional level. There, they're able to track productivity and profitability to determine which regions to continue working in, all without spreadsheet manipulation. This visibility also aided them in forecasting to the future as their business grew 23% over 3 years. Both finance leaders were able to provide valuable operational insights to the exec team that benefited their organizations simply by moving to the cloud. And the results speak for themselves. Allison Burks, controller at Perfect Dental Management, claims that she's now able to work smarter, not harder. She estimated that her work week went from 55-60 hours per week before Sage Intacct to 40 to 45 hours after implementation. So not only is she working less, but the hours she's working are less consumed by tedious accounting tasks and filled with more strategic analysis. So if you have 3 or more entities and are starting to run into some of these slowdowns, don't wait until it starts impacting the momentum of your company. We'd like to get the conversation started today. And that wraps up the session on how you can streamline multi-entity consolidations and management. I hope you'll join us for the other webinars in this series. Each of them dives into other aspects of cloud financial management and some exciting ways it can transform your finance organization.